So in this scenario, I'm a nurse practitioner in a primary care clinic, and I'm seeing a gentleman, Mr. Powell. He's a 37-year-old African-American male, and he comes in with his primary concern of a sprained ankle. And prior to the appointment, he completed the audit questionnaire, and so I'm aware of his drinking patterns and behaviors. So, Mr. Powell, thank you for coming in today, and thank you for filling out this lengthy questionnaire. It really helps me kind of guide the process here.
You got it.
From the questionnaire, it sounds like you drink about 4 to 5 times a week, and about 4 drinks a sitting, and you've had some blackouts in the past, and possibly some other negative health consequences because of the alcohol?
Yeah, I think that's true, yeah.
Okay. So do you mind if we talk a little bit about your drinking, what you like about it, what's fun for you when you drink?
Yeah, but I'm not an alcoholic.
Oh, I'm sorry if I gave you that impression, Mr. Powell. That's not what I intended. We just ask all our patients these questions, kind of a routine patient questionnaire. So just to kind of assess where they are in their health patterns.
Oh, okay.
So it has, and I'm sorry again if I gave you that impression.
Sure, go ahead.
So tell me again the things that you like about drinking. What's fun?
After work, I work in a machine shop. I like to go home, take a shower, have a beer, you know.
Okay. So it kind of relaxes you.
Oh, yeah.
And are there any other drinks that you'd like to drink other than beer?
Yeah, sometimes I go out with my fellas on weekends at a social club. We play darts and pool, and I'm like, sometimes about 4 beers, and sometimes we do shots of tequila.
Okay. So sometimes when people are out with their friends and they find themselves drinking more, has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, when we get together, it's a hoot. It's a hoot.
So about how many times, like 4 drinks, 5 drinks, could you?
I'd say somewhere between 4. Sometimes I don't know. Like 2 nights ago, I think it could have been 6. I'm a little fuzzy on that. Yeah.
Okay. And so you're here today because you fell and you sprained your ankle.
Yeah.
Right. And can you tell me the kind of what was going on?
Oh, we were playing darts. I almost won until I came in second.
Oh.
Yeah.
How many times do you win?
I won? Oh, God, I can't even count. At least 20. I'm pretty good.
It sounds like you're pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to take you on. Well, you're playing darts, and how much, you said you kind of have a few when you're with your friends. So
Yeah.
about how much do you think you were drinking before you sprained your ankle?
Yeah, that night was pretty wild. It could have been somewhere between 4 and 6 beers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think the alcohol may have led to the ankle sprain?
Well, actually, yeah, come to think of it, could have been. I lived real close, so I was walking home. I didn't drive or nothing.
Okay.
I was walking home, and it's the usual path I take. It's a short distance, but I went off a curb, and bam, wow, that hurt.
Okay. So how did you get home?
Well, one of my other friends was leaving, and he saw me.
Okay.
Yeah, so they put me in the car and drove me home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So besides spraining your ankle, are there any other kind of maybe negative things that happen when you drink?
My girlfriend, she doesn't like it sometimes. I think it's kind of silly, but yeah, she doesn't like it when I tie them on. Yeah.
Okay.
She has problems with that, but she's a good lady. She scolds me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
good
it?
lady.
Yeah. So when she scolds you, how do you feel?
Oh, sometimes it's a tail between my legs. She can really crush it. And sometimes it's just we laugh about it.
Okay.
But she's still needling me.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds kind of like that's a relationship strain sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it can. I think, well, she don't like it.
Yeah.
How can you better say it? Yeah, that's a stressor.
Okay. So you've had some consequences related to your alcohol use.
Mm-hmm, I have.
So would it be okay if I give you some feedback about your drinking?
Sure, go right ahead.
All right. Well,
I figured that's where you're going.
Well, you're right. And so from what you've talked to me about, it sounds that you drink about maybe 16 drinks a week, about 4 or 5 drinks a sitting. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Well, so this goes over the limits for males and females, and the limits for males are about 14 drinks a week.
Mm-hmm.
And when it gets to be more than that, it can lead to negative health consequences like high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes. What do you think about that?
Wow. It sounds like I should think about cutting back. That's what it sounds like.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not ready to quit at all, you're going to walk out that door and have another drink, versus 10, how ready are you to make that change, with 1 being not ready to change at all, and 10 being I'm ready to change as soon as I walk out this door?
And 5 or 6.
Okay, well that's great. I mean, 5 or 6, that's 50 to 60% ready to change. So what makes you
Yeah.
respond that way versus a 1 or 2?
Well, I sprained my ankle. My girl, she doesn't like it. Well, I'm gonna miss work. I'm not gonna get paid for the day and tomorrow. So there's a couple right there.
Okay. So what do you think, what kind of steps could you do to reduce your alcohol use?
You said I'd do like 14 a week and 4 a night. Well, if I went down to 3, that'd be less. I think I'd do that, and just 4 would be my top.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when I have patients making a change, whether it's dietary change or exercise or drinking, I have them write things down in a journal. Like, for example, with alcohol, how many drinks they've had during the course of the day. How do you feel about doing something like that?
Wait, I do it
Right.
every day. What would I do?
Well, you could write it down, either the number of drinks that you've had, and I could give you a journal to write it in, or if you...
That's for me?
This is for you. And you
Cool.
could write in kind of the days of the week are already set up in here.
Wow.
And you can either write the number down or just a yes/no response, whether or not you drank or didn't drink for that day. Sometimes, you know, people have a difficult time remembering things.
Hell yeah. Well, I'll start with the yes and no and see if I can do better.
Okay,
How's that?
that sounds good. So I've written down for you kind of the things that were talked about today, and the fact that you're going to do the journaling, and then I'm going to give you a prescription for your ankle and
Oh, yeah.
ibuprofen.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it was great talking to you, Mr. Paul. I
Likewise.
appreciate your honesty.
Thanks. Yeah.
So, Mr. Powell, do you mind if we talk about your drinking?
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Okay. So it looks like you wouldn't be here today if you weren't drinking, and then you wouldn't have any issues with your ankle, right?
Yeah, maybe, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So there's some information I want to give to you about alcohol and your health. And I want to tell you that when you're drinking a lot and drinking heavy, it can lead to really negative health consequences. It can cause cancer, cause things like pneumonia. It can damage your kidney, your liver, and those are things that, you know, you need to kind of function in your everyday life. And if you keep drinking, it will further impair those organs permanently. And it can lead to things like sexual dysfunction. You've already talked about having problems in your relationships, specifically erectile dysfunction. And also, it can lead to accidents, and you could, you know, injure someone else, injure yourself. I mean, you wouldn't want that, right?
I don't know. And plus, I don't have erectile dysfunction. Where'd you get that?
Well, I'm not saying you have erectile dysfunction now, but if you continue to drink, that may be a definite consequence of you continuing, of
Okay.
your continued
No, I
use.
thought you said I had it. That's
No,
what,
no,
okay.
no.
Nah, I don't.
But it can be a common thing.
Uh-huh.
And so, with that being said, I want you to think long and hard about this. And I think it's important that you need to change your behavior, maybe start going to AA meetings and just getting things back on track.
Wow. Okay.
What does that sound like to you?
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Okay. Well, how about we touch base in a couple weeks and I'll see where you're at.
What about my ankle? That's why I came here in the first place.
Right. That's right. And I'll give you a prescription and I'll have it at the front desk before you leave.
Cool.
Okay? And I'll see you back here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you might.
Okay.
You might.
All right. Well, good talking with you, Mr. Powell. I wanted to engage Mr. Powell initially and find out where he was at in regards to his alcohol use, and doing an assessment of what his drinking patterns were like, and then also doing some education on my end in regards to the consequences of his drinking in general. I wanted to see where he was in regards to his readiness to change, and if you could see that his use may have led to some negative consequences, there in fact lies the buy-in, and whether or not he was ready to change would then lead to further negotiation as to what resources I would be able to offer him and he'd be willing to accept. My goal was to hopefully have him see that he needed to cut down on his drinking. And I didn't want to infer that because that information needed to come from him. In part it was throughout the interview negotiating with him and finding his commitment to change and wanting to change, and where he was at in that process, and providing him some feedback with the potential negative consequences of his drinking pattern if he was able to come to his own decision, because then there's more of a buy-in and he's more committed to change and continuing that change. What I would do to engage him further and find out where his motivation is use the readiness ruler to see where he's at in regards to wanting to make that change. It's all about therapeutic alliance with the patient, so in that sense, to get that, it's asking the right kind of questions, open-ended questions, and engaging him, picking up on little things, details to help build that rapport. For example, his relationship with his girlfriend, or if there were other variables to enhance that rapport throughout the communication, so he's not feeling picked on, so to speak, about his alcohol use.